Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. Uh, Yvette Black, thank you so much for being here first. All right. And LDSW is here. Ingrid Soares is here. Kathy G, wonderful. Thank you very much. Creative Life. Sheila Dewey. Legs is here. Uh, Elvis Minot. Is that Fat O? What is that? Magina. Fat O Magina? Oh, okay. I think I got that right. Okay. Let's get this up here. The real reason. Well, this is based on the what do you call that? The I paper. The I paper report. Not sure exactly why they call it the I paper, but that is what it's called. It's the I paper. There we go. The real reason Harry and Meghan won't bring children to London to meet King. Despite initial reports, the Duke and Duchess, the Duke of Sussex, that is, well, let me make that bigger. Let me make that bigger. All right. You know, bifocals will only get you so far. Okay. Make it even bigger. The Duke of Sussex will not be joined by his wife and two children when he visit the capital, meaning, of course, London. Prince Harry had previously planned to travel with Meghan and their children, Archie and Lilibet, with the couple understood to have accepted an invitation to stay in a royal residence. Yeah. Um, Royal residence, but without elevated police protection. And you know, you guys, I was thinking about that a lot. Uh, One of Obama's last years at the White House, there was a man who managed to scale the fence and breach all of the security perimeters, make it through the door, which, FYI, there are no locks on the door at the White House. They just don't lock. You're either inside or you're outside. Here's what you need to know: the security is enhanced whenever the president, the first lady, and their family are in residence, principally the president, followed by the first lady. The security is enhanced. And this is why the man that literally scaled the fence, you know, they have changed the fence at the White House several times, thinking that they've come up with just the right combination. But as long as there are bars that this between the first family and the public, there are people who have enough strength to lift themselves over the iron gates and into the grounds of the White House, where hopefully you will be met by a flurry of activity, Secret Service agents pouncing you left, right, and center. Well, just imagine a football game. You see an avenue where you can make your way through and you go for it. And when things are timed perfectly, there is absolutely no one around. We see squirrels, cats, birds, and anything else that wants to enter the White House grounds do it every day. So it just makes sense that a person can do it if you time it just right. This was at nighttime, though. It doesn't matter. There have been children that have been playing around the gates at the White House and just managed to squeeze their way through. And they have to be rescued by the Secret Service, which, by the way, Secret Service is not just men in suits, there's also uniformed Secret Service agents. And then there are some people in the US government that are protected by the federal marshals. Like when Ruby Bridges, when she was trying to get into that school, they sent federal marshals to aid with her protection. So that's why I'm telling you this. Just because the Sussexes were to be housed in a royal residence does not make them safe. And if you are not willing to give them the adequate protection as specified by Queen Elizabeth, then why should we assume that they would be safe at any royal residence? If you are being very casual and flippant about their needs when it comes to transportation, how could we possibly trust you to provide them with housing? If you ask me, they would be safer at a 5-star, 4-star hotel, one of those high-end hotels. They have security. They have security that would be willing to coordinate with Prince Harry's security. I am sure of that. This is something they do all the time. So I was thinking about that, and I'm just like, why should we ever assume that being at a royal residence makes you safe? The Queen wasn't safe. That should have never happened. One must ask yourself, where was the footman when the Queen was sleeping? When the Queen was in her bed, where was the footman? It is not difficult. It really is not difficult. We even had someone breach the White House by walking in, that is, behind a marching band. They just marched on in. I'm sure most of you have heard this before. But I'll just say it, just in case you haven't heard it. The perpetrator only has to get it right one time. One time. They only have to get it right once. But as a security person, you have to get it right every time. Otherwise, you have failed at your job. Is that clear? The perpetrator only has to get it right once. But your security has to be right every time. So I'm not impressed with this idea that Charles has offered a royal residence to Harry and Meghan. That is all smoke and mirror. That is all part of the circus, the sideshow, a distraction. This is carefully orchestrated. This whole thing is carefully orchestrated because while in one ring of the circus, the circuses used to have 3 rings. They have the 3 rings. So while one act is taking place in, let's say, ring number 1, they've already started one in ring number 2. And they're still setting up in ring number 3 so they can go. And so you just keep looking left and right for the next thing, right? That's why they say three ring circus, because you have three different things going on at the same time. And so that's what this is. Let's see if we can name them. Ring number one, offer them a royal residence. Ring number two. Oh, wait, I forgot. Ring number one should be Harry announcing the visit. So that's how they were supposed to start this assessment for security. Ring number two, offer them a royal residence. And then ring number three, Kate Middleton, Commoner Kate, with her mountain climbing. That is number three. To demonstrate that with all of the confusion going on with Harry and Meghan, there is an alternative. Stay with the status quo. So this is not directed at Harry. This is Meghan. The terror that Meghan would come over there and embarrass Kate Middleton. Embarrass Kate Middleton by doing things like, I don't know, talking, wearing clothes that fit, looking generally 10 years younger. I don't know what they were afraid of. And that's the reason why I know this is to do with Kate Middleton, is because along with the mountain climbing, they just released these photos of the kids and her parents congratulating her along with her brother at the end of this so-called solo trek to the top of 3 different mountain peaks. This is all orchestrated. Even wearing the Meghan suit, wearing a suit like Meghan with the ponytail, all of this was planned. It was deliberate. All of that is deliberate. It's by design to make sure that you demonstrate an alternative to Meghan, just in case there's any type of resurgence of Meghan's popularity. They wanted to make sure they ended that immediately. And I'm sure they were hoping that Meghan and the children wouldn't even come at all. All of this is to keep Harry, Meghan, and the children out of the UK. Instead of just banning them from coming or entering the country, which by right, I believe Charles could do that if he wants to. He could ban them. They may have to get that in writing. I'm not sure. That was the agreement with the Duke of Windsor, that he would ask permission. I don't suppose they have that at this time, but I'm not sure that they could not make that happen. I'm not sure that they couldn't. I'm not saying that they can, but I'm not sure that it's not a possibility if that's what Charles chose to do. Remember, they are not just a typical family. Harry is a member of the royal family. He's not even allowed to vote. Everyone else can vote, but he cannot. Or that is, everyone outside of the royal family can vote, but as a royal, he cannot. So certain rules are just very different for him. This is why I said the green card status may not be exactly what people assume it is. Harry has worked as a diplomat. He may still be considered a diplomat. And what do diplomats usually have? Immunity. Now, I do believe that as a diplomat, you can be kicked out of a country. You don't have to have the ability to be there, but I'm just saying his green card status may be different. There's a lot of unknowns. Unless anybody has a chance to look at the treaty between the US and the UK, I'm not sure where he fits into that. So, all of this was planned and orchestrated. I'm convinced of that. And so far, everything is going their way. Everything is going Kensington Palace's way so far. The only thing that we can count on is that at some point, William and Kate, they stumble. They always stumble. When they're just about to win the game, they always choke. They choke just before they can score. Something holds them back. Stupidity, arrogance, I don't know. Something always holds them back. This is why the two of them have not been on an official royal tour since they left um, Jamaica. But there are certain people, if you ask the public whether or not Harry and Meghan have been successful with their royal tours, everything that they hear in the UK is one disaster after the other, while the rest of the world have seen them. How do they say it? They could not put a foot wrong. They have been extraordinarily successful away from the UK. This is the first royal tour that seems to be failing. And that is because of a very aggressive campaign. And they're working in tandem. That is the government and the press. They're working together to make sure that this tour is as unsuccessful as possible. They are working together. There's no doubt about it that this is a coordinated effort. That's why there's nobody from the government even asking questions. Charles and William, they have got this sewed up. And this is why Harry used the language stitch up, because it is stitched up. There is no fairness or oversight. There is nothing to benefit the Sussexes where Ravak is concerned. They're not even afraid of public opinion, because before the public can even draw a conclusion, they dispatch all of their little soldiers to flood the airwaves with a bunch of lies and confusion. Lex says the British royal family are cowards. They can't face the people they abuse and wrong. Remember how they couldn't look at Harry and Meghan during the Jubilee. They are evil, weak liars. And I am in total agreement with that. Thank you for the super chat. Williams set a land speed record leaving the Jubilee. He did. He ran out of there before, what was it? He was about 10 paces ahead of Kate Middleton. She had to run to get 10 paces close to him. He ran out of there as fast as he could because he could not face his brother. Thank you very much. And Charles III tried to ban but risked a Spencer name change. There's another one. Thank you again. Yeah, they didn't even want the Sussexes to get passports for the children. This is all coordinated. And Charles could change all of this very quickly, and he chooses not to do it. And it has nothing to do with William. The press likes to play this game that William is furious and Charles somehow is afraid of William to the point where he is unable or unwilling to act on Harry's behalf. No, this is a choice that he's making. It is a choice. Charles never protects the people in his life. He did not protect his sons. He did not protect Princess Diana. And at a certain point, he didn't even protect Camilla. He left Camilla to be devoured by the press. And somehow Camilla managed to take control of the press once Charles made it very clear that she's not negotiable. He didn't even protect her. Nobody means enough to him to protect them. But I tell you who he has protected. He protected his brother. And I do believe that that is some type of deal or agreement that he made with his mother, his brother, in exchange for Camilla. That is the only thing that makes sense to me, is that in exchange for showing some type of support for Camilla's place in the royal family, he had to agree to protect Andrew, and which is exactly what he's done, which is why Prince Andrew is still Prince Andrew, whatever they say. And that is why Prince Andrew still receives armed protection. And trust me when I say this, Andrew needs protection. He really does. He needs protection because he's dealt with some pretty unsavory characters. So I do believe his life may be in danger. I do believe his life may be in danger. That I believe. He needs the protection. But all of this is to make sure that the Sussexes do not come and go from the UK with the assumption that they can do it safely. That is what they want to prevent, is Harry flying back and forth over there. Even if it's 5 times a year, that is 5 times too many. I am very disappointed. I am very, very disappointed. It may be a blessing in disguise that the kids will be hidden away. That may be a blessing that we can't even calculate because we just don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Failure to provide Prince Harry and his family with wraparound police protection while in the UK could leave them exposed to threats. Security experts have warned. Plans for a reunion between the king and the children of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are in jeopardy following reports that Harry will not be joined by Archie and Lily or his wife when he visits London next week. It is understood that the prince reached the decision after the government rejected his request for police protection beyond royal residence. A former Metropolitan Police firearm officer has claimed there will be questions to answer over why such a high profile figure is not being provided with security. Protection is a sizable commitment from the taxpayers, and it's right that who benefits from it is considered carefully. But Prince Harry is a high profile figure and the brother of the future king. The former senior officer who has guarded members of the royal family told the iPaper, if anything were to happen and there was no security provisions for it, would be damaging for public confidence in policing and to the image of the UK people, would ask why we don't protect someone as senior as that. On those grounds alone, I would expect security to be provided. Is set to arrive in Britain next week for events to mark the 1 year countdown to the Invictus Games, which will be held in Birmingham. He planned to travel with Meghan and their 7-year-old son, Archie, and 5-year-old daughter, Lilibet, with the couple understood to have accepted an invitation to stay in a royal residence. But concerns about the family's safety when traveling outside royal grounds in the capital has prompted a change of plans. Last week, it was revealed a report commissioned by the U.S. private security firm that protects Harry found he is the focus of 6 terrorist plots, 5 of which originated in the UK. The document outlines dozens of threats facing the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and includes an Al Qaeda document which called for Harry's assassination. And that was reported by ITV News, who, by the way, they claimed to have seen the document or was presented the document. The findings were shared with RAVAC, the security committee responsible for deciding if high-profile figures like Taylor Swift are eligible for taxpayer-funded police protection in the UK, like Swift. But the committee, whose membership include representatives from the royal household, the Home Office, and the Metropolitan Police, as well as Sir Clive Alderton, former Deputy Private Secretary to the King, then Prince of Wales, denied Harry's appeal for such security measures. It is understood that Harry's military experience in Afghanistan and any threats posed to him by Islamist groups would have been one of the factors considered by RAVAC, which is said to make decisions informed by expert risk assessment and in line with government policy. Isn't that something? It's safer for Harry to visit New York City than it is for him to visit London. Lex says, could it be projection? Did anyone protect King Charles against Lord Mountbatten? What about his right-hand man and that person that you're talking about Force, is it Foresight? Remember 2002? Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the super chat. Like I said, Charles does not protect people around him. He does not protect the people around him. More protection for his brother than for his son. It really is like some kind of mafia family. You're just not allowed to leave the mafia. Richard, I guess his name is Etch, a former member of the Royal Military Police Close Protection Unit, suggests it is precisely the intelligence-led provision and enhanced security measures that Harry lacks access to, which leaves him exposed to potential threats. He highlighted the Met's access to intelligence afforded by the GCHQ MI5 and the Fixated Threats Assessment Center to inform its response, which could include proactive counterterrorism arrest. So I guess that means that if there was someone within the vicinity that seemed dangerous that they could actually arrest that person or detain them at least until such time as is deemed safe to release them, or they can hold them and question them. I'm only guessing that's what it means. I'm not absolutely sure. Crucial requirements in the Met provision also include the ability and capability to have exemptions from impeding laws in the delivery of protection. In other words, having that capability to dominate the roads, control traffic flow, excess speed if necessary, and likewise at any venue to control movement and presence of members of the public to create as much needed sterile environment, he added. Atch also says, who has worked in the sector for 30 years and acted as a personal bodyguard for high profile figures, said if Harry was joined by Meghan and his children and provided with police protection, he would expect a minimum of 4 security vehicles to accompany them, with the number of personnel dependent somewhat on the activity and location. A rotating team of officers working shifts throughout a 24-hour period, plus close protection officers for each of the principals, Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet, would be required. A former Met officer said, adding the cost of a single royal protection officer could be as much as £178,000 a year. And I was looking at that number. I'm like, well, if they only need that protection for short periods of time, I do believe the Sussexes could afford that. Matthew Beer, that's the name, Matthew Beer, founder and CEO of King Safety and Security Group, said the environment of children materially changes the tolerance for residual risk because children cannot meaningfully consent to the risk and are less able, that is, to respond to a fast moving situation. So, in other words, if something is happening, the children may be confused if they need to be redirected, if somehow they are picked up and taken in a different direction from their parents. You know what I mean? All of those things in a fast moving situation could very well happen. So, let's see what else. While he stressed private security is not second best and can provide high quality protection, he added, the question is whether the reported threat picture requires an armed state capability along with private protective measures where terrorism is a credible part of the assessment. That becomes a very significant consideration. Good protection is preventative. Intelligence, advanced work, route planning, venue assessment, low profile movement, and keeping the principal away from avoidable exposure in the first place. So last year, Harry lost an appeal over his security provision. Okay, we don't need that. We already know that part. Harry and Meghan have not traveled together. We know that part. Prior to his retirement, Neil Basu confirmed Scotland Yard had investigated numerous credible threats against Meghan's life. Not Harry's, but Meghan's life. Harry has also previously been the subject of threats, particularly by National Action, a proscribed neo-Nazi group, because he was viewed as a race traitor. The organization also threatened others, including members of parliament and journalists. However, numerous security experts believe The fixated threat from stalkers is more of a risk to Harry's safety than terrorism. In January, it was revealed that the Duke of Sussex stalker sat meters away from him on 2 occasions at the High Court when he was present for the start of his privacy trial. Let's see. Despite reported threats, the prince lost the legal battle. The Home Office, with the Home Office over his UK security arrangements, which was scaled down when he stopped being a working royal. This is also a punishment, you all. This is to punish him. And the way things are worded in the press, they want you to know that he deserves this punishment. And there are enough people, even if they're not even right wingers, it could be right or left wing. A lot of the older people have received this message from the press, from the tabloids, from the Rota, that Harry abandoned the Queen, that Harry and Meghan are elder abusers, that they have abandoned their country when they're needed the most, and poor William and Kate have to do all the work now. His father is sick, and how could he do this to his father? All of these messages are engineered to inflict as much damage as possible. And among the older set, I have to tell you, it's been very successful. Even though I believe there are more older people who see through this, they just need enough people to agree that they got it coming. And that is something that is so shocking that I don't know if this is something that is uniquely British, but the people, they read the tabloids. Now remember, in the US, a tabloid is the Inquirer and the Star. Those papers only come out once a week. They only come out once a week. And most people, we have been raised to disbelieve, to dismiss the news in those papers. Seriously, we have been raised to see those papers as fake and phony news. Whereas in the UK, that type of coverage is daily with an enhanced paper on Sunday. What is a once a week publication for us that you would only find at the newsstands or at the checkout at the supermarket, that is daily news for the UK. So let's just say, I'm just going to pick a number. The British public has been conditioned 7 days a week to accept whatever comes out of those papers as the truth. Even Professor Tim Wilson has achieved a certain level of bias because of what he reads in those papers. He's a very intelligent man, but even he has been infected by their lies. And so if someone as intelligent as Tim Wilson cannot tell up from down, left from right, in and out, what are the chances of the common folk? It is a serious problem. And this is why the Rupert Murdochs of the world has come to the US and purchased Newsweek, has established Fox News using Fox, 20th Century Fox, a name that is synonymous with great motion pictures. And of course, all the other publications that they have purchased. Like, don't they own the Wall Street Journal? And they would love to purchase the New York Times, the old gray lady, as they call it, because those were considered fair and balanced, even though some of them were like the Wall Street Journal, very conservative. But they were more fair and more balanced than anything coming off of Fleet Street. This is why they purchased those news outlets, is because those names are trusted. Newsweek is a gossip rag nowadays. And then there's that guy, I don't know what his name is. I don't know if he's British or not. I don't think he is. But he owns Variety and all, what is it, the Hollywood Report and all these other publications where he literally controls the message. He determines who's going to win. What else does he own? Does he own the Grammys or the Golden Globe? One of those papers? So these are tremendous odds that are stacked against the Sussexes. Huge. And a lot of these people, they side with the palace. They side with the royal family. For whatever reason, they have been given a lot of protection. Now, I can tell you for certain that one of the reasons why they have been so successful is because so many of the journalists that have honed their craft working for the tabloids are over here now. And so social media was an escape from mainstream journalism, well, mainstream news. But now even the journalists have their podcasts, they have their YouTube channels, their threads, their TikToks, their shorts. They have all that stuff now with the attempt to dominate the message, to determine what the message is. So even there's no escape there any longer. But yeah, I don't blame the individual for some of the rotten things that they say about the Sussexes, because it has been a lot of gaslighting and brainwashing that have gotten people to that point. And this is why you have tens of thousands of people, if not millions of people, that voted for Barack Obama and now they hate Barack Obama. They have been systematically convinced that he is the bad guy and that he is responsible for everything that is wrong with this country. It happens. Just like during the pandemic when there was all this fuss about the vaccine, I don't blame people that chose to avoid it, because if I was afraid of the science, if I felt a certain way about the government, I may have made the same choice. I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm not taking that. That's too fast. You can't make up a vaccine that fast. I'd have felt the same way. So I don't blame. I mean, whatever you do, guys, there are some people that are just plain racist, and that's all to it. But there are some people, I mean, look at all of the people in the Commonwealth, black people, who look at Meghan and say, she knew what she was getting into. She had it coming. Look at what she did to the Queen. These are black people, and they are just as obedient to the message as the next person, as any white person living in some small community in Britain. They are just as obedient. So you cannot blame the individual for um, for their ignorance. You really can't, because they they trust these news outlets. They've been a part of their lives since they were born. There's been a Daily Mail, and they trust them. And also with human beings, if it's in print, then it must be true. There's a lot of people. If it's in print, it must be true. I'm not one of those people. I don't necessarily trust everything I see, but there's some people that do. It's really sad that that's the world that we live in, but it is. It is really sad that that is the world we live in, but that is a part of it. So they have managed to hijack, and when I say they, I do mean the tabloid media and both of those houses of Windsor. They have managed to hijack this trip to the UK before it has even gotten started. They didn't win the day with Australia. They didn't win the day with Colombia or Nigeria. And a lot of places, like the other, any place else that they've gone with the Invictus has been successful. But now they're playing in Charles and William's backyard, and they're just not having it. I'm going to take a look at a couple of your comments here. Definitely agree on races. Notice that the Confederate flag flew over Sandringham on Saturday, a very loud message about the British royal family views to Meghan, especially. Yeah, yeah, it's really marking territory, isn't it? It is marking territory. Uh, oh, that's not for me. I'm sorry. I'll just keep going here. Let's see. Prince Harry reminded Charles of Princess Diana that jealous Charles can't take the outpouring of UK public love to Prince Harry, Meghan, and their two children. That is true. I agree with that. The royal family have a lot of power. Yeah, yeah. And as awful as this is, I keep telling you guys, you really cannot dismiss them or turn your back, or it's not enough to say, oh, well, they're in California now. They should just, not that simple when you're dealing with an institution like that. They can make any money over there. Oh, I'm sorry. They can't make any money over there. That's why they all have come to the States. Oh, you mean the tabloid journalists? Yeah, because the money's better over here. The money's always better. The money is better. You pay less for petrol. It's easier to purchase property. It's a win-win situation for them. Yep, it's a win-win situation. Maybe the professor thinks like the British media, there is a just God. They will all answer to their maker. Uh, you know, um, Rebecca, professor reminds me of a good friend of mine that I have mentioned before that told me that Meghan is overly exposed and that she needs to lay low for a while. And trust me when I say this man, a friend I met through other people, we had art and history and so much other stuff in common. We could really talk to each other, right? Now, this man, white, born in upstate New York, moved to Chicago because he liked the city, he liked the spirit, he liked the vibe, and after he left New York, it's the only place he ever lived. Passed away during the pandemic, by the way. And I was just surprised that out of the blue, I get this message that Meghan is overly exposed. And for as intelligent as he was, he could not see the difference between a bunch of propaganda and flat out lies. What happened was he was feeling the fatigue. It was the fatigue of the Meghan question. And a lot of the anger against Meghan is born out of fatigue because after the press drags your name enough, a very fickle public feels that if you would just go away, if you would just disappear, that life would be so much better for everybody involved. That is why this type of coverage is so dangerous. This is why Carolyn Flack is no longer here. Because after a while, if you don't have a good support network around you, you will start to question yourself. If the media can make a person question their value and worth and their need for existence, imagine what the effects of this round the clock news coverage has on the average person. My friend was very intelligent, but even he fell prey to this round the clock coverage. There's never been anything like this. And it has to do with Meghan being of African descent, just like with Barack Obama. There has never been any news coverage like that with any politician. There was never a president that was called out for such ridiculous things like wearing a tan suit until Barack Obama was president. And then even some of the media that was supposed to be liberal and supportive, they were asking the question. They even repeating the story was doing harm to President Obama because it made it much bigger than what it should have been. So I think that Professor Tim Wilson, just like any older person, probably has various racist tendencies, but not flat out a racist. As Harry said, the unconscious bias. Now, some people don't like to accept that term. For some people, you're either racist or you're not. But I do believe that some bias is unconscious. Just like if you are around a gay person, you may talk all day about how it's live and let live. And I've seen people like that, live and let live. And then if you, I'll give you a case in point. Pride Day. A couple of women I worked with, live and let live. My company had a contract and we worked Pride Day. They saw a little boy being pushed up the street with rainbow this and rainbow that, and they had a fit. He's just a child. He should decide for himself. They're going to make him gay. You understand what I'm saying? that is unconscious bias. And if a person can be that way about sexuality, then there are people who don't see themselves as racist that have some very racist tendencies. That's what unconscious bias is. But I understand some people don't want to accept that. You're either racist or you're not. But I just think the world is more complicated than that. That's just my opinion. I think the world can be more complicated than that. I think a lot of people have good intentions, but that that has been taught to them as a child that they don't believe that's who they are, that's who they are. We human, regardless of race, color, and religion, are the same, and our blood is red. Thank you so much for that, Zabeta. Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much for that. Oh, I just got a PayPal. Thank you very much for that. I was trying to see if there was a message with that, but I don't see it. But thank you. Let's see. Tim Wilson is a royalist, seldom watches podcasts. He's not genuine. Yeah, there are days when I cannot deal with him. I will admit there are days when I cannot deal with him. Let's see. Princess Michael of Kent did that because she knew the queen wouldn't care. Yeah, she knew that there would be no punishment whatsoever. Let's see. Yeah, it's very, and I've called him out for that. I've called him out for that. I told him, I said, you sound just like the tabloids. It's, some people just do not believe that they have racist tendencies, or they just don't believe that they are just flat out racist, or they do know it and they just won't admit to it. And those are some of those people that will tell jokes and they say, well, it was just a joke. But it's not just a joke. If you took the time, well, first of all, if you have committed that to memory, and when it's convenient for you, if you call upon something that is disrespectful to someone because of their color, their ethnicity, then you got a problem. You got a problem. Okay. Yeah, the Blackamoor pen. The Blackamoor pen. That was very deliberate. She wears her beliefs on her like a badge of honor. Princess Michael of Kent. Let's see. I blame adults for their actions, especially if their ignorance negatively affect others. And that is your right to do that. That is your right. What's that? Correction stealing their thunder? Oh, there we go. Can you blame Charles and William, Harry and Meghan coming over, over there, stealing their thunder, and All they get is not my king. Yeah, Charles is the one that's being booed. Even Kate Middleton and the children got booed. You know what bothers me more than anything else that is happening right now is the fact that they'll probably get away with this. There probably will be absolutely uh, no repercussions. The royal family isn't as prestigious outside of the UK as it was when Queen Elizabeth was alive. So they just do not have the same cachet that they had before. Charles is yesterday's news. Um, there's going to be a moment of excitement, and I do mean just a moment. There's going to be a moment of excitement when William becomes king. There's a lot of people who do not know exactly how dull and how useless William is. William gets by because of his mother. That is what carries him. William's platform for housing has fallen flat. And as for the earth shot, um, there are people who just do not have enough food to eat, can barely afford to get to work, can barely afford to pay for their housing. And the last thing that those people are thinking about is the environment. They're just trying to survive. So, William's platform and Kate's platforms are virtually meaningless. Anyone who's really been affected by cancer knows that Kate Middleton is not the hero that she pretends to be. She goes to the head of the queue and she got time to go for long walks in the country. Most people who have survived cancer just don't even have the time for it. So I don't know who would relate to her. And maybe this is about the Invictus games. Maybe they want to tarnish um, Harry's Invictus games as much as possible. Which reminds me, where is the Invictus community? Where is the Invictus community? How come no one from the military is speaking up? Where is the Invictus community? They are absent, aren't they? Shouldn't they be helping Harry to fight his corner? Oh, thank you, Ingrid Soares. Please thumbs up, you guys. I always forget to say that, but please do the thumbs up. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit further now. Let me see. She didn't climb any mountain. I dare say that, however, this was achieved, I don't think they exactly shared the full thing with us. I get this feeling that, oh, as a matter of fact, I do have something that shows the flight plans for the helicopter. You know, that is publicly accessible. Let me see. The British media calls a circus because to know all they want to know all. Um, Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace leaked everything. The British media wants their whereabouts, which are a security risk. They want to force Harry and Meghan to play the game, yet their abuse and attacks fail. Well, I tell you, oh, you dated a Secret Service agent? Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Oh, they wouldn't say anything without the king's approval. Let's see. There is way too much complacency, that is, I'm sorry, with the antics of the British royal family and the British media in the UK. Any other organization in the US would have had the back of their would had the back of their patron or lead person would have made appeals. Okay. Thank you very much for that. And hey, Hazel, how are you tonight? According to Elizabeth Solaroo, the Daily Fail broke the embargo. Oh, okay. Which is exactly what they did in Australia. Well, let's see. Today is July the 6th. So tomorrow, Tuesday, we are going to hear the results of Harry's case against the Daily Mail. Oh, well, let me see here. Well, you guys, um, I'm very disappointed for the Sussexes. I cannot help but think that they had some good intentions with bringing the kids over, that they were hoping that um, something had changed, but apparently it hasn't. And, well, look at the bright side. There's still people booing the rest of that family whenever they're in public. And as someone who has spent a great deal of time in the United Kingdom, I can tell you firsthand that most people don't give a toss about that family. They just go about their business. It is not the overwhelming outpouring of affection that the press would have you believe. Um, Everybody loves a soap opera, and the tabloids have turned all of this into a big soap opera. And there are some people that are amused and also very angry and hostile um and hateful because of what they read in the papers, because of these conversations with the panelists and podcasters and such. It's been a tough week. I'm going to tell you, from where I see things, it has been a very tough week. I did not watch any of those podcasts in its entirety, but I have seen bits and pieces of it on social media from other sources. And the blatant lies that they tell is very hard to watch, especially that fat bearded guy that was on Jeremy Vine. It's very difficult um, to see them get away with those kind of lies. Yeah, time to move Invictus. It is time to move Invictus. Think how much the UK economy is going to lose because of the petty royals. The British media feel that it is okay to harass someone like they did Diana. It is even more cruel that William is participating in this abuse. Yeah, yeah. Diana's son is actively participating. Even what do you call it? Cordial to the woman that helped run her out of the country. I can never ever forgive him for that. Mary H says they're trying hard to get Prince Harry back before William becomes king. William will be the first king in a while without his spare to blame all of his shortcomings on. Well, if he's anything like Trump, you know how Trump likes to blame Obama and Hillary Clinton. I wonder how many people, and I'm not even trying to be funny when I say this, I wonder how many people think that Hillary Clinton was president. I wonder how many people believe that Hillary Clinton was once president of the United States. And don't laugh. Don't laugh. There are some younger people who know so little about civics. I am sure that there are some people who believe that Hillary Clinton was president because of the way that her name is constantly being thrown about by Trump. I would not be shocked if that were the case. Hi, Kim Coates. Charles is manipulative. I think he did a bait and switch with Harry's security, thinking Harry wouldn't push back and call him out. I hope this is a wake up call for Harry, giving Charles grace. Yeah. Um, I believe that what Harry has is a strategy, and Papa is unfortunately necessary to achieve the goal that Papa has to be amused. Because if only to have a chance to spend time safely in the UK. But let me give you another point of view about Harry's situation with security. Harry has sacrificed a lot for his country. That includes his mother, that includes his military service, and that, of course, includes the constant way that the press has ruined his life. They have literally destroyed, they have taken away his innocence. So many years that he cannot get back, years of being paranoid because of the press um, hacking his phone, um, stealing his personal records, and of course, accepting leaks from the royal family, from his own brother. He cannot get that time back. But at the very least, he wants to share his country with his children. And the only way to do that safely, he has to go through Papa. It's just no other way. I mean, you could just, say, oh, I'm just going to risk everything and go. But movement throughout the country is necessary. So Harry and Meghan are not going to have use of the official helicopters. They are not going to use the royal train, nor did I think they would accept it. Um, Harry could probably do his stealth movements around, but you cannot be stealth when you got two children and your wife with you. There's just no way to be stealth like that. And you cannot risk bringing your wife because, God forbid, something were to happen. You would not want your children to lose both parents. So that is why it is necessary to have the top level of protection. Even if Prince Harry's personal protection, even if they were armed, it still does not give you the level of intelligence, official intelligence briefings necessary to keep the principals safe. So I know there's a lot of people who are just thinking, why don't they just stay in California? Why bother? Just leave it alone. Harry has a right to go home. He has a right to visit home. He has a right to share his experiences with his children. And it's unfortunate he has to go through his father to make that happen because if he doesn't do it now, it's only going to be that much worse when King Petty reaches the throne. So it's the urgency of now. You guys, I might be pissing some of y'all off. I don't know. I hope I'm being helpful. I'm just trying to give a well rounded perspective based on my experience, based on my opinions. I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to see everybody's point of view. So I hope I have been successful with that. I don't know, but it's just no simple answer to this. I regret it's embarrassing, it's humiliating, and that is something that the royal family seems to take pleasure in seeing how deeply they can humiliate Harry. Thank you, Bonnie Mighty. And may I always be on the right side of your prayers. Please let me stay on the right side of your prayers. If not, I take back everything I just said. I want to live. I want to live. Woo! You all are hardcore sometimes, I tell you. I mean, hardcore. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Anytime, anytime. King Charles pictured with Archie and Lilibet would be the ultimate money shot. Now, article is from June 25th. King Charles may be reunited with his two youngest grandchildren next month. And it's about right. King Charles is not a family man. Yeah, that's about right. King Charles is not a family man. He's never cared about Prince Archie. Oh, you know what? I forget who. That's the words of one of the squatties, not the article. And I forgot to put their thing up at the top. I do apologize for that. Just what they can do for him. Uh, for him, they are perfect for a money shot for his reporters as per invisible contract, and a photo to go around the world as rehabilitation for his image as a waste of man of a father, grandfather. Then he pat them on the back and tell them to get off on their journey home with no security, but to hope for the best. Yeah, that sounds like Charles. Either that or Charles might zip out of the gate so fast that the matter of fact, the staff wouldn't even have a chance to open the gates. Charles would probably zip out of there so fast to go and see Camilla or to go any place, to go to his garden at High Grove. He has no paternal instincts, that's for sure. Here's an old article. Archie and Lilibet excited to meet Granddad King Charles, but don't have any concept of their royal relative status. Uh, and maybe it's better that way. A friend of Harry and Meghan tells Hello. The truth is, they don't really have any concept about who the royal family, are. Their parents are very good at keeping them away from it all, so they live as normal little kids. Prince Harry is also said to be in frequent contact with his father. According to Hello Magazine, they say that Harry is in frequent contact with Charles. That may be very well be true. Notice that Queen Elizabeth II took pictures with the children with approval from their parents. They tried to shame Harry and Meghan before she died, but were exposed as photoshopping various kids in manipulation. Oh yeah, that photo of Queen Elizabeth sitting on the sofa, and yeah, and some of those kids were added to the image later on. They certainly were. And now a word from Feminegra. Let's see. According to Feminegra, Prince Harry will return. Wait, what date is this one? Yeah, will return next week. His wife and children will not. After 10 days of uncertainty, the Duke has decided that London is not safe for his family, and he is right. The decision making body responsible for royal and public figures' protection reportedly declined the request. Harry had hoped to bring Meghan Sussex, Prince Archie, and Princess Lilibet for their first joint UK trip in years. A reunion with King Charles was on the cards. A visit to Althorp was rumored to be planned. The family had even discussed staying at a royal residence, but without proper security, Harry has made the only responsible choice a parent could make. Is expected to attend his London engagements alone. Here is what the Telegraph has reported. Blah, 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 blah. Uh huh. Yeah, that's all stuff we saw before. Grandpa Charles' narrative collapses at security. And this is where poor Grandpa Charles' narrative falls apart. We are constantly told that he wants a relationship with Archie and Lilibet, but wanted to see your grandchildren means making it safe for them to visit. It does not mean letting the press blame Harry and Meghan when they refuse to gamble with their children's lives. Let the public record show that the goal was never to provide Harry's protection. It was all about the royal family control over Harry, control over his movements, control over his public appearances, and control over when he comes and where he stays, who he sees, and how vulnerable he is when he is back on British soil. That is what makes the reported risk assessment drama so telling. If a completed assessment spells out serious risk factors around Harry, then the obvious question becomes uncomfortable for the institution. Why has the king's own son had to fight so hard for basic protection in the first place? And if another assessment was ordered, then paused, then wrapped in bureaucracy, that does not inspire confidence. It raised more questions. Pausing the assessment raised immediate questions. Leaving it unfinished was only deepened the suspicion. From the outside, the process has looked opaque, slow, and needlessly difficult. And the entire process around Harry's safety has felt like a deliberate maze of bureaucracy, permission, and delay. And now, a final thought from Feminegra. Ready? Here we go. At the end of the day, this is an incredibly sad moment for Harry, who is once again being forced to confront how little protection his father's institution appears willing to guarantee him. He is the son of the king. So the idea that he has to negotiate, beg, or perform royal obedience rituals for protection is absurd. Harry has reportedly offered to pay for his own security. He followed the process. He asked for clarity, yet every step seems to produce another locked door. That is why this was never about taxpayers' money. If Harry is willing to cover costs, then the argument shifts. It becomes about access to police intelligence, security coordination, and official permission. And when those things are denied or delayed, it starts to look less like privacy, or that is policy, and more like punishment. If Charles never gets the cozy grandfather photo the royal press keeps trying to manifest, that will be part of the legacy too. A monarchy that allowed Harry's safety to become a tool of pressure, procedure, and control. A father who weaponized his son's safety in order to control him. Harry tried that much, can't be denied. He asked and followed every hoop placed in front of him. Too many people of color around the world are watching this closely. How can Charles reportedly fund private security for his disgraced brother, Prince Andrew, a man whose association with a convicted pervert brought lasting shame on the monarchy, while Harry's family is left facing uncertainty over police protection and an up to date risk assessment? That contrast raises an uncomfortable question. Is this really about security policy, or does the institution appear more willing to protect a scandal plagued white royal than a mixed race family it can no longer control? Well, thank you, Feminegra. And by the way, you guys, if you have not, please do subscribe to Feminegra. Feminegra also has a YouTube channel. I should tell you that. Feminegra also has a YouTube channel, same spelling, Feminegra. So make sure that you frequent And also share. You know, if you share these, you know what I mean? If you just randomly share them, if you're on Facebook, take that link and share it in some of those conversations. Don't even argue. Don't say, oh, take a look at this. Just share it. Just share it. Let's see. Notice how the whole goal of the press is to show that Harry is sad and lacking, as if he needs that family, as if he was the one who wronged them. It is all about the soap opera. Won't happen again. Yeah, yeah. The narrative, they actually have a complete storyline, a storyline that Harry has once again tried to use coercion, that he has tried to use emotional blackmail against poor King Charles. Poor Charles, the man who left his first wife to be devoured by the tabloid media, the man who abandoned the mother of his children and left them to the media, which at the time he made a deal with to create the Royal Rota, didn't he? Didn't the Royal Rota start with Charles? Wasn't that established because of Charles and Camilla? So it should come as no surprise that Charles refuses to protect his son. And even that is emotional blackmail because it is hard for some people to accept that a father would abandon their child in an hour of need. That is playing with a type of emotional blackmail. It's almost like, how dare you try to make the world believe that Charles would be cruel enough to leave his son twisting in the wind, to wither on the vine. So even that is playing with people's emotions because there are a lot of people who still think the royal family is just a family. They don't realize that that institution has created a certain distance between family members that can never be bridged. You can never close that gap. It is baked into it. It's baked into their lives. And this is why it's so easy for them to hurt one another, to turn their backs on one another. Because if you don't follow the principle on that throne, if you don't do as Charles wants you to do, if you don't come to the garden party, remember Beatrice and Eugenie had to go to the garden party because William demanded they go to the garden party. Because Beatrice and Eugenie in the future, they don't know when they're going to need him. They don't know when they are going to need protection from that institution. They can't be sure that the protection will be there when they need it. But I tell you, one of the biggest things that they could use against the York sisters is the protection of their father, is the protection of their mother. And believe me, um, what's her name? Sarah Ferguson, she still is protected by that institution. She's still protected. The fact that the press has not hounded her, don't you find that rather strange that the British tabloid media hasn't really hounded Sarah Ferguson? They haven't really come after her. Why is that? It's not hard to find her. She's a conspicuous woman designed to stick out. Yeah, she's a very conspicuous woman and designed to stick out. And yet, the press seems to be very neutral with her, just like they seem to be very neutral with the Duke of York, all things considered. But I tell you who they're not neutral, and that's Harry and Meghan. Oh, they also have an Instagram. Yep, there you go. Legs, Hazel. I think we're going to have to do a members only this week. I think we're going to have to do a members only this week. What lady? Yep, I think so too. We got some stuff to hash out. Legs thinks that's a good idea too. Absolutely. Yes, the press never talks about Camilla's children. And that is what is so conspicuously absent from everything. There is no criticism of Camilla's children. All criticism of Camilla has stopped. They rarely say anything about Will and Kate that's critical. Pretty much the only people that they go after are the Sussexes. So yeah, ITV has seen that report that came from Harry's security firm. A 2020 letter from Queen Elizabeth demands that Prince Harry and Meghan be provided with effective security even after moving to the US. It is imperative. And that's something that is never mentioned, even on those platforms where you have people that are supposedly defending the Sussex's position. I noticed that not one single time have they mentioned that letter from Betty. Not one time. I don't know that anyone, and I do mean anyone, has mentioned the letter from Betty. Why is that? Why is it that they are just completely mute when it comes to that Betty letter? Nobody mentions it. I wonder if that letter even made it into court. I think it did because didn't Harry come up with that letter after visiting the Queen? Isn't that when that letter was presented after that very covert visit to the Queen? 1992, a year which I shan't look back upon with undiluted pleasure. It was a horrible anus. Huh, those are the terrorists. Those are the people, some of which they cannot even find them. That's a scary looking bunch, aren't they? Frightening. Anna says, reminder, there are people in prison for plotting to harm Prince Harry and Meghan, and of course, Archie. Uh, I guess this was before Lilibet was born. And these are only the ones we know about. If you think he's being dramatic by fighting to keep his family safe, I'd love to see you walk a mile in his shoes. You know, if they really wanted to take this to the court of public opinion, um, I don't think that it would be possible in the UK because it is so much that is never mentioned on those talk shows. And there are so many times when whoever they invite to speak on behalf of the Sussexes are completely cut off or shouted down and just not even generally able to complete a sentence. And again, where is the military community? Where are the military? Prince Andrew is allowed to keep his £300,000 a year bodyguards after Queen intervened at the last minute. And all they had to do was make sure that Camilla was protected. I don't mean physically protected. I mean, you know, given the respect. You see there? A session day 2022, the 70th anniversary of Her Majesty's reign. And this was that moment when Queen Elizabeth said that she was she expected that Camilla is known as the queen consort when she becomes queen, that she is known as the queen consort. Because remember, there were a lot of lies, and I'm even going to say alleged, there were a lot of lies. Charles said that he was not going to marry Camilla. And then eventually, what happened? They got married. Charles said that she would never be known as the Princess of Wales, that she would only be known as the Duchess of Cornwall. Okay, that was kept. But then, of course, um, Charles said that when he uh, takes the throne, that Camilla would only be known as a princess, that she would only be known as the princess, Princess Camilla. But at some point, and I believe this is when they negotiated to protect Andrew, at some point, Andrew was given protection. Oh, wait. There we go. At some point, the Queen intervened and Andrew was given protection. And I believe that protection came with the agreement that Charles would forever protect his brother. That way, if you want Camilla to be known as queen, then you need to protect your brother. Because let's just say maybe Queen Elizabeth, if she wanted to, she could have created one of those letter patents, which could have declared that it was impossible for Camilla to be queen. I'm just saying. Maybe there could have been that. And while Charles probably would have done something to override that, um, whatever happened, Andrew is protected and Camilla is queen. And then, of course, the next lie. Even though Camilla was never supposed to be known as the queen, but she was supposed to be known as the queen consort. Nobody says queen consort but me. I don't hear anybody else say the queen consort. They just started calling her the queen. Charles said, "Oh, that's a bit awkward. We'll just call her the queen." Liar, a complete liar. Hmm. The queen couldn't do that. Parliament would have to create a title for. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Hazel Jones. So otherwise, all we had to go on was the promise that Charles made. I will protect your son, the pervert, if you would speak out on Camilla's behalf. And the queen did. The queen sat there with a big grin on her face and said, "Make sure you call her the queen consort." You dig? And what happened after that? She was simply known as the queen. Yep, I'm afraid Charles got it all sewed up, y'all. Charles has got it all sewed up. For better or worse, it seems like everything is going his way, except for the protesters. He can't seem to do anything about that. You know what, guys? This has been almost 2 hours. I am going to do the rest of this tomorrow. Tomorrow, I love your tomorrow. You're only a day away. But first, a shameless plug for Meghan's lavender honey. Duchess Meghan, as ever, lavender honey will be available tomorrow, June the 30th, just in time for summer. Our newest honey is softly floral with a delicate warmth that lingers beautifully. Just go to asever.com. I'm sorry, as ever official. Yeah, as ever official. Look, I just want the matches. I almost forgot about that. I am going to contact customer service tomorrow and I'm going to say, hey, y'all, how y'all doing? Is it possible for me just to get the matches? Is it possible for me just to get the matches? I got plenty of the other stuff. I even got bookmarks, but I just want and need those matches. So I'm going to try my luck and see what happened. I think when they see my information, they'll know that I have been a consistent customer. They might actually let me just purchase that. We'll see what happens. It doesn't hurt to ask. I just got me a brand new box of matches. Yeah. And what I've learned, you haven't time to learn. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what I'll do. And one of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Are you ready, Boots? Start walking. You keep playing where you shouldn't be playing. You keep thinking that you'll never get burned. Ha! I just got me a brand new box of matches. Yeah. And what I've learned, you haven't time to learn. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what I'll do. And one of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Nancy Sinatra, a woman who couldn't sing her way out of a hostage situation if she tried. You know what? She probably could sing her way out of a hostage situation. I mean, given her level of expertise, I'm sure the hostages would pay her family to take her back. Oh, thank you very much for a moment. I've wanted nothing else for the Sussexes but success. And for Meghan with her As Ever brand, um, I especially want it to be successful. You guys, I'm going to miss Miss Jerry White. It just kind of dawned on me I'll never be able to talk to her again. I'm really going to miss her. She was very sweet. She's been a member of Royal Sussex for, oh, I'm sure over 50 months. And when I didn't hear from her, I checked some sources and realized she had passed away. But I just want you guys to know that this community was very, very important to her. And one of her favorite things, of course, was what's the president of South Africa? She used to love when I talk about him. Oh, that was fun. I haven't talked about him in a long time. Yeah, that was one of her favorite things. Thank you, Ingrid Soares. Yeah, I think this community is great, and to be a part of it is a real, real privilege for me. Oh, by the way, you guys, my family they left today early this morning. It was a nice visit this weekend. A little distracting for me, but I'm not going to complain. It was nice. I was trying to get them to go over to the Obama library, but it was such a rainy, rainy weekend that they didn't want to risk it. But wow, they have been having so much fun over at the Obama library. Every day is another party. I want to go and try that restaurant they got over there. I think the best thing to do is to go when they open. Okay, well, I see it's still 500 people here. Yes, yes. I wonder what the menu is. The menu for the Obama Library Restaurant? It's called Tafari's. Ooh, Tafari's famous ribs, a rack of succulent ribs created by former White House chef Tafari Campbell, served with traditional potato salad or coleslaw. Or Mrs. Robinson's red rice, a beloved dish honoring Michelle Obama's mother, Marion Robinson, prepared with sauteed shrimps, long grain rice, tomato juice, Tabasco, and crumbled bacon and sausage. Mmm. Or how about the Obama burger, including jollof rice, roasted seasoned vegetables, French fries, flourless chocolate cake, and a chocolate brownie. Or the Obama family chili, a classic featuring ground turkey, spices, red wine vinegar, tomatoes, beans, cheddar cheese, and sour cream paired with a side of scratched made cornbread. Mmm. Anything else? They had me at prime ribs, I'll tell you that. Oh my. You know, I don't know that I've ever had the jollof rice. The ribs are $19.50. That sounds fair to me. Oh, they have entrees and sandwiches, braised short ribs, stewed short ribs served alongside mashed Yukon potatoes and crispy plantains. Ooh. Oh, how about the cheddar plank? Oh, I'm sorry. Is cedar plank salmon topped with sun-dried tomatoes, pasta, caramelized onions, and a rich cream sauce. Moroccan chicken, a spiced chicken specialty dish. Spicy grilled chicken sandwich served on brioche with a house pickle. Or how about the tuna melt, albacore tuna salad with limon, celery, relish, tomato, and cheddar on a multi-grain bread. Classic grilled cheese, sharp cheddar with optional add-ons like caramelized onions, bacon, or tomatoes. Am I making y'all hungry? Oh, yes, Sandra says I'm making her hungry. Okay, well, then I'll just wrap it up then. Soup, salad, and desserts. Vegetarian gumbo made with black beans, chickpeas, and gold rice. Tomato carpaccio, a refreshing cold tomato soup variant. Oh, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Baby spinach and berry salad tossed with, what is that? Chevre cheese, spiced pecans, and cucumbers. Oh, now see, I'd have to take my partials out to eat that. Caesar salad, chopped romaine lettuce, croutons, heirloom tomatoes, cucumbers, red onions, and crumbled feta. And last but not least, Options include the flourless chocolate cake and chocolate brownies. Oh, did I miss the soups? Summer vegetable soup, chicken soup, a light gluten free soup with yellow squash and sweet corn. How about if you want the gluten? Can I just add the Mahalia Jackson Cafe? They got that over there too? A cheese personal pizza, a four cheese blend over house made marinara, the the chia pudding, a vegetarian option made with coconut milk, berries, and agave. Oh, they also have espresso drinks. Anyway, that's it, you guys. Bon appetit. Mm. And you know what? See, this place is just perfect for people getting out of church because it looks like they have seats custom made for ample bottoms. If you got a big bottom, if your butt reminds people of an aircraft carrier coming over the horizon, they got the perfect seating for you. I tell you, this place is a winner. Yeah, and they say the restaurant is always busy, you guys. So be prepared to wait. I know. I know. You know what? When I go down there, I am going to have one foot hanging out of the Uber, right? I am going to drag my foot on the ground as the Uber pulls up and then roll out on and land on both feet. I'm going to do a roll, tuck and roll, and then jump up on both feet and run in there. As a matter of fact, if there's a parked car on the side, I am going to roll out and then roll across the hood of the car, like they do when they film in a scene in the Wesley Snipe movie. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll out of that Uber like they filmed in the Wesley Snipe movie. You better come on. Yep, you better come on. Bon appetit. Oh, jollof rice, seasoned fried chicken, peppered pork, short ribs, vegetable salad, fried plantain, Liberian rice bread, and coconut tarts. Mm. Good night, Mary H. Okay, you guys, I'm going to give you the link to Tafari's Kitchen. I'm going to give you all the link to Tafari's Kitchen. I'm feeling kind of sad now. If my aunt was still alive, she would definitely go. You know, that's one of the things when you lose people, you start thinking about things that they would have enjoyed. Be like, "Oh, I bet you they would have liked this. They would have liked that." Okay, I just pinned those that link for Tafari's. I've never had jollof rice. I'm gonna have to try that. I know. She released those photos today, didn't she? Ooh, I like the sound of that. Forgot the big sea shrimps and the jollof rice waiting for you to come to Liberia, Baron. All right, Zakoi. As a citizen of Liberia, I am pretty sure I will be welcome. As a matter of fact, while I'm there, I'm going to make sure I get a passport. Oh, Air Canada flight started $388. Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay, love you guys. I'm going to say goodnight now. Cheers. I hope I haven't made you too hungry, but if I have, you're welcome.